Hey everyone, in this video I will show you guys how to use both range slider and simple slider in QML. Then using this knowledge we will build this simple application. In this application we have two labels and two slider. One of them is a simple slider and the other one is a range slider. So what happens is that when I move this slider, the value of label changes according to the slider position. And same thing happens when I move the range slider. We will also go through on how to customize the various properties of these sliders like step size, direction, and etc. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get started. I have already created an empty QML project, but to use slider in our application, we first need to import qtquick.control. So let's do that first. Import qtquick. Okay. Next, I will add column to my application because I want to align vertically both range slider and normal slider. And I will put it in the middle of my application using anchors.centerin. Okay. Now I will add slider. I will name the ID of this slider to slider 1. And for width, I will set it to 300. Next, we need to specify the from and to properties. These properties represent the start value and end value of our slider. So for the from property, I will set it to 0, and for the to property, I will set it to 10. By default, these values are from 0 to 1. So if you do not specify, these value will be between from 0 to 1. Next, I will specify the initial position of our slider using value property, and I will set it to 5. Now let's try to compile. Ctrl+R. So there it is. We have our first slider. We can move it, but it doesn't do anything because right now we haven't attached any functionality with it. So let's do that. I'm going to create a label in such a way that when I move the slider, the text of label represents the current value of our slider. So let's do that. I will add a label and I will name the ID of this label to, let's name it label 1, and I will set the text of this label to slider.1.value, which gives the current value of our label. Okay, I will set the font size to 20 and I will also make it bold. Okay, next I will add a row element and I will add both slider and label in it. This will make sure that both range slider and label are horizontally aligned. Finally, I will use the onMoved signal of the slider to update the text property of the label element whenever the slider is moved. So onMoved, and I will set the label 1.text to slider 1.value. This ensures that the label's text always reflects the current value of the slider. So let's run our code and see. Ctrl+R. So there it is. Now when I move the slider, the text of the label changes according to the slider position. But there is one problem. The text is a very lengthy string which does not look good. We can resolve this issue by using math.round function. So let's modify it. So I will add math.round function here. I will also make this change here. I will just copy and paste it. Okay, now let's run our code again. Ctrl+R. So now when I move the slider, we can see that our text of our label looks good. Next, let's create a range slider using QML. Range slider is quite similar to normal slider. but it has two handles and it is used to select a range of values. To create range slider, instead of just typing the whole code again, I'm just going to copy my code for the normal slider and paste it. Okay, and I will rename this element to range slider. Let's change the ID of this slider to slider 2. I will keep width and from property same. To property, I will change it to 100. There is one major difference between normal slider and range slider. In normal slider, we can access the current position of our slider using value property. However, in range slider, there are two tab handles. So to access the position of both tab handles, we need to use first dot value property and second dot value property in QML. So let's do that. So I will change this to first dot value and I will set it to 20. Similarly, I will set the second dot value and I will set it to 80. So similar to value property, in range slider there are two on-move signals, one for each handles. So therefore we also need to modify this part of the code. So I will change this to first dot onMoved and the handle label. This needs to change. We already have label 1. Let's name this to label 2. Okay, math dot slider 2 dot first dot value plus math dot round slider 2 dot second, this time dot value. Okay, so this is the on move signal for my first handle. I need to do the same thing for my second to update the text. So I will just replace this thing with the second. Okay, and I will also make this change here. Now let's try to compile our code and see. Ctrl+R. So there it is, our range slider. So when I move my tab handles, the text is changing according to the tab handle position. So this is my first tab handle and this is my second tab handle. Before wrapping this video, I want to show you another extremely useful property in QML. So when I move this slider, you can see the increase in my text is continuous. But if you want to modify this behavior, if you want to move your slider in step, you can do that by using step size property of your slider. So let's do that. So if I just go to my normal slider, I will add step size and if I make it 2 and run our code, Ctrl+R. Now if I move, my slider will move in step of 2s, 10, 8, 6, 4. Okay. If you want to explore more about the slider properties or its signal, you can refer to this page. It contains all the details about various features like snap mode, vertical properties, etc. Try to use them in your own application. I will link this page in the description. In the next video, I will teach you how to use images in your application. So if you are new to this channel, feel free to subscribe because I'm creating a series on GUI development using QML. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, press that like button. Goodbye and keep coding.